Okay, maybe it'll work now. Alright, I was just doing an experiment about how many ways I could misconfigure. And there's another misconfiguration coming in. Hold on. You might get an echo for a second until I get rid of this. Sorry. 1 second. Feedback. Maybe. Hold on. God. See, now my computer pinwheels, right? Because it's running Flash. It's really awesome. Oh, God. No, we've been using Flash for a long time. Yeah, this is Hong Kong. I can't control the live stream studio because it needs to pinwheel right now. Yeah, do not feed into swarming black holes of negativity. They suck you in. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, I can't control the overlays right now, but that's alright. Okay, so yeah, this is Hong Kong, Dan. And, yeah, so basically, I would like to answer questions on your QAs if my computer can behave a little better. That would be great. So, basically, yeah, so what we've been doing here in Minneapolis is essentially running the live stream client. Hooray from the Navy. Alright, I will pass that along. I got a friend in the Navy who doesn't know what to make of all this, and I'm like, dude, it's awesome. And he's like, whatever. So, I love it. Hooray for Portland, yes. I think for Rise PDX, I think you guys are, or you should be set really soon, and I hope that that all works out smoothly. Is this being archived? I don't know. That's actually a good question. That's why I'm trying to get into the damn studio thing that doesn't want to work right now. Yeah, oh hey, OccupyWall.org says Ben Kappa is alright, hoorah from the Marine Corps. Semper Fi. There was something about a retired Marine that was involved. I can't remember who it was, but that was cool. Hit the red button. That's true. That's true. And yes, that's true. Somebody is archiving, the CIA, the FBI. I'm sure this will all go in my permanent file that I'll get someday during a FOIA. Well, okay, so here's okay, for Goddess, it's okay if you want to post a link. I'm just not going to be able to click on it, probably. So, I just want to factor that in. Yeah, hi, big brother. You guys didn't see this one coming. They didn't think I had it in me. Now who's laughing? Haha. Sorry, that was gratuitous. Yeah, we're all working on our file now. What speed computer do I need to help with the live feed? That's a great place to start. Having misplaced my notes. Yes, here they are. So let's see. Okay, it's finally up right now. It might be okay. Good. Feedback is gone. Sorry. 1 second. I just gotta set this. Yes. There we go. Okay. So basically, here's the deal, guys. Tonight's beer is a Summit Pale Ale, the true Twin Cities classic. A love from Boston to Minneapolis and Hong Kong. Boston representing, indeed. And we've also been drinking Grain Belt Northeast. We even have coasters. So you can't knock the Northeast. It's a new blend. It's a little harder than the regular Grain Belt. And somebody else is sticking to Beam, so that's good. Yes, you may have a sip. There you go. It's pretty good. So here's the deal. Oh yeah, tagging dollar bills. I'm not sure if that's legal, but the people who did Where's George did not get thrown in jail, so that might be cool. Do you ever sleep? That's a good question. I don't think I've been on this feed once when you weren't working. I've been sleeping from like 4 in the morning into the afternoon a lot lately, so you actually probably haven't seen me in the early afternoon. And then on Thursday night, I was kind of excited because the Minneapolis stuff was happening, and I was not really able to sleep. Okay, Wirecast. Yeah, I don't even know what the deal with Wirecast is. Oh yeah, you could mark dollar bills on top of a piece of tape, and that would be legal. So you put tape and then your message. I guess that would be legal. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll have to work out the dollar bill tagging legalities. As with anything, you know, like they said it was illegal for that guy from SCIU to say you should take your money out of banks, didn't they? But, you know, so we all gotta be careful. And things are legal in different areas, and interpretations can always be made by the executive branch. So you gotta try to play these things safe. That's why you gotta be friends with the National Lawyers Guild, because they ought to know what's legal. And that's important. Yeah, the Federal Reserve, I mean, all these people freaking out that it's like a distraction from the Federal Reserve, you know? I mean, we keep seeing these huge end the Fed banners, right, all over the place. So, I mean, the notion of ending the Fed is not lost in this whole mix. In fact, in key moments, it seems like that's always the biggest banner. Like in the Brooklyn Bridge mass arrest, that's the only big sign you can see is one that says end the Fed. So it's all in the mix there. Would I agree to nationalize the Fed instead of ending it? I don't see whether or not me agreeing to anything will make a difference. Will someone map out legalities for the protesters? That's why you have a legal team. That's why you have a delegated set of people that are in charge of being in touch with the ACLU and stuff like that. And that's why you have a legal team to know, like, you know, protest permits are different in different areas. Things like tents, generators, the propane stuff with that Lorenzo was talking about. It's always different in different areas. Would I personally keep around the capitalist system? I don't know. Would I? Let me delegate that decision. Would I keep the capitalist system? No, I guess I wouldn't. I delegated that decision, and the answer was no. Okay. So, that's cool. Alright. So, alright. Okay, here's the thing, guys. Alright, so basically, what we need to do is, try to get a hold of some really powerful computers, because we're sort of rearranging the idea of how Global Revolution as a channel actually works, and specifically, we are trying to have some very powerful computers at our main office that is evolving in New York. And we need like 8 processor type i7 workstations, which I think would essentially be the Mac Pros. I think you can get the stream to work off 3G, but you need 4G to have a good stream. But 3G at a low resolution would technically work. We can offer you rentadrone.org. That's pretty exciting. I can donate an i5 Intel tower, says LRAM0. That's awesome. Thank you, LRAM0. If you can reach our postal address, or anyone that can email outreach at if you can actually donate gear, please email operations@globalrevolution.tv. If you have other communications to send to us, such as you guys are having an account, please send it to outreach@globalrevolution.tv. So outreach for the teams, operations for gear. And it's kind of new. We've sort of been fooling around with these, but I think that's what we got. Yes, Evolve with the 3s has it spelled right. Operations. What about Linux machines? Look, I love Linux. I support open source licenses. I've been there on Slashdot with the best of everybody arguing about licensing in the open source world. But I think we really do actually need Mac Pros. Yeah, I love Linux. Believe me, man, Linux delivers. It's a huge success. Linux is a success, just like occupations are a success. We move the bar forward, and it always works. It helps. I hate the war on drugs. I actually purchased fakewarondrugs.com because I want to mess with the system and illustrate how the drug money moves through the banking system, and that's been a major dream of mine. And instead of making cool animations about that, I've been tangled up in IRC stuff when I should have been illustrating the nature of laundered drug money. So my dream is to ruin Wall Street's ability to launder drug money without any interruptions from the shady federal prosecutors that cover it all up. So we can always have fun with that. And Wells Fargo and Wachovia and their money laundering front, as well as the CIA, DIA, DEA, gun running operation, because, I don't know, narconews.com. I really support them strongly, and I support antiwar.com as well. I think that Narco News and antiwar.com are both excellent independent journalism sites, and I recommend them to everybody. Is the backbone of the live feed Mac-based? I would say everybody that runs production is doing Macs, but in the field, PCs are used. And actually, here's a quirk about live stream, is that sometimes, if you have Macs logged into Studio, and you have PCs logged into Studio, they may not work together. That was what I heard before. It seems like they're working okay now, but it's an issue, right? And, admittedly, I have been a Mac fan for a very long time, ever since I was little. So I couldn't resist throwing in the Steve Jobs tribute videos the night after he passed away. That was pretty sad, and Apple is a huge shady corporation, but if you go back to the history of it, it was really a great small team of people that originally created the Macintosh, the creative vision. They all pushed their boundaries, and they did a hell of a job. So, you know, I just, like, I've been an Apple fan, but, and somebody else told me Final Cut 10 was actually good, and I haven't seen it, so, LSD Wozniak, that's funny. Yeah, Inside Job is a good movie. How do we deal with infiltrators? Well, I mean, here's the thing, actually. One thing I heard going around earlier tonight was that the COINTELPRO program might be actually snitch jacketing, and people might not be familiar with snitch jacketing. Okay, so here's what you do. Since we're all worried about infiltrators, and you just assume that we gotta be worried about infiltrators, what the FBI will do is send someone in to say, you're a snitch, you're a snitch, you guys are snitches. And then, by doing that, you confuse everybody. Kind of like they used to do in the 60s with sending letters to people that were essentially man-in-the-middle letter attacks to say, you're a snitch, right? And so, by getting people to over-freak about snitching, you know, that's a serious problem. I give GOP ammo and I need to stop talking, says Sir Cuts. That's interesting. Was that because I delegated the decision to dismantle capitalism? Terrible. Terrible. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, snitch jacketing is actually very important to understand. And, because you always have a chance of that, and that may be a major issue. So, when somebody says you think someone is an infiltrator, you know, pause for a second and evaluate whether or not that seems to be true. Sometimes people just act sketchy, and it's a little silly. They're just gonna label me a commie. That's okay. Labels are hilarious. I'm not a communist, nor have I ever been a communist. But I do have friends that are wobblies, and they're cool people. So yeah, but they're not communists. They're labor syndicalists, and there is a difference. Occupy your workplace. Support the industrial workers of the world. The Wobblies are the IWW, the Industrial Workers of the World, which is an old-school giant union that believes in direct action and stuff like that. Yes, exactly. Labels are created by the 1% to divide us. Have you ever noticed that? How they're really always bent on labeling people? Yeah, and okay, so someone's like, Fox called this thing communist, but Judge Napolitano did this segment where the reporter's like, well, they're all Ron Paul fans. Like, you know, they talked to like 3 people, and they're like, well, they're sort of being paid to be here by the Soros machine, but they're actually Ron Paul people. So, you know, whatever. You're right, there is no reason to talk about Fox. I just thought it was funny. It made me smile. You know, those guys always know how to make me laugh. Why not anarchy? That's the question. Why not anarchy?
Why not?
Why not? Sure. You know, I think a huge leaderless movement occupying public squares all over America is, you know, amiable to Ron Paul types or anarchy. You know, why not? Sure. I think, here's the thing. Okay, actually, I want to talk about a little bit about vanguards for a second, just because it's been a bubbling issue, and in Minneapolis, I think it was becoming an issue. Yeah, so here's the thing. Alright, and we're having a good discussion about anarchy now. Yes, Ocelot Wild says, it's comfortable to turn on my computer, see Hong Kong holding down the media fort. I end up holding up the fort a lot of the day, and, you know, or the evening, and not being on video, and that's fun, but it's great to talk with you guys too. But yeah, so okay, let's talk about vanguards for a minute, because here's, if I can editorialize on my own behalf for a second about like what I've seen with what's been going on in Minneapolis organizing, Occupy MN. So it's Sunday morning now, and Occupy MN came in Friday morning, and and they had some meetings beforehand, which I sort of drifted through for a minute, but wasn't involved in too deeply. And a lot of people I know, kind of, you know, some of the usual suspects, a lot of new faces and stuff around Minneapolis were there. But there was a concern because it seemed like a lot of the groups were kind of, they had a lot of people that were kind of the, you know, they are the usual suspects, and I'm personally hoping that this doesn't become vanguarded. I mean, I think that we're finding disaffected Tea Party people that realized corporate consultants conquered their whole thing. Has anyone from Rhymesayers been involved in the fight? That's a great question, and I love Brother Ali and Atmosphere, and it's really appropriate you ask me this, because guess what shirt I'm wearing says Hoosier 39. I have my 2009 Soundset shirt, which was like, I think the first or second like Rhymesayers concert. So I haven't been able to go to Soundset because I've been broke, but lately. But yes, rest in peace, Idea. Thank you very much, Cigar 1991. I had my Idea shirt on, actually, I think the last time I came on here. So, would I prefer anarchy or a true republic? I would like to hang out in both and hang out in cafes and see who's having more of a fun time. So that would be cool. Have you guys been keeping your computers running through the several weeks the live stream's been up? Generators? Electricity has been improving. I've just been stacking up a huge electric bill that I can't really afford to pay. But actually in Minneapolis, people showed up with huge solar panels. And just earlier today, and a union electrician kind of helped sneak up and get them all rigged up. So we've got mad solar panels in Minneapolis, which is great when it's working. How about using uninterruptible power supplies or UPSs? My UPS keeps shorting out because I think I had a bad ground setup, so it's actually been a pain in the ass for me. Yeah, I think kind of the inverters and car batteries that I've started using in Minneapolis suit that. So yeah, I was just the power situation in Minneapolis got great, and I guess in New York they got this huge solar. I don't know what the hell they got in New York, but Greenpeace came by. That's what I just heard. So yeah, we'll get to tech specs in a minute. Sorry. Okay, so what is vanguarding? Okay, here's the thing, and here's the thing that makes things pretty difficult. And do I think Occupy Minnesota is going to survive our brutal winters? I think people have ideas, and I think it is probably more exciting than just like hunkering down. But we do have a lot of good gear. You know, people can handle winter camping here. So yeah, money bomb for Hong Kong. Yeah, I might as well make the pitch right now. Look, here's the thing, guys. Here's what's happened to me in like the last year. Okay, let me just lay it out. I worked at an internet startup as a Drupal developer. We developed an excellent prototype, and it completely ran out of money. And I agreed to hardly get paid and get paid very late the whole time. And then when it ran out of money, that like left me owed a bunch of back wages. So I've been behind on my power bill or unable to pay it since about April. And so I have set up my own PayPal account. And if you guys want to recognize the fact that I have been working around this on the clock, as well as taking a fair bit of risk by being the, you know, front-facing person for the Minneapolis team, like on camera and the whole bit, right? I would very much appreciate it if you can go to the website right there, hongkong.com, and if you can give me any money through PayPal, that will go to the expenses for the Minneapolis team. And so that's not the same. It is, please be very clear. It is not the same as the Occupy Minnesota media team, and it is not the same as the Global Revolution main account. It is basically an account so that I can get some money together to pay my rent and pay my late bills and all of that. Again, because I spent the whole last year working at a startup that didn't work out, and so I owe a lot of money. Not a lot of money, right? Like, I don't have much desire for material possessions. I don't have a car anymore, but if you guys can throw some money in PayPal, you know, the power bill is like $500, you know, so any amount would help. And Global Revolution has given us some of a stipend, but again, because we're trying to gear up and have all this gear and be ready for October 15th and everything, the money has mainly been going to gear. And so we should incorporate and declare our losses as tax write-offs. Yeah, I mean, I am a small business owner, right? Because I have been doing essentially Drupal consulting for and communications consulting, right, for small businesses, independent startups, little political projects and stuff. And so basically, yeah, how did I get a $500 power bill? Well, if you don't pay it for a long time, then you know, it piles up, and they don't really tend to cut you off here. Like when the state shut down, they were not cutting anybody off because the state wasn't paying them either. So yeah, you know, it's been consistently piling up. Everyone's talking about Drupal now, which is good. There was another group, I think the tech team there actually just started a Drupal site with their own kind of list of gear and stuff. So the Drupal is spreading in the movement. and Drupal is always good because in particular, Drupal is a well-designed software for decentralizing control of websites because the permissions are very fine-grained, so you can push out permissions as much as you can to wide circles of people, and that is an excellent way to decentralize and avoid the webmaster conundrum and the centralization of websites. So that is one reason why Drupal is good. So what are vanguards? Okay, a vanguard is essentially, and this is sort of what like doctrinaire socialists are notorious for, among other people. A vanguard is an organized set of people that tries to get control of a social movement after it's rolling, or they may set up a fake social movement which is called astroturfing. And so, yes, permabank.cc. I just saw that there. NYCQQ has the right one. NYCQQ, permabank.cc. That is the new Drupal-powered website that has various needs. So permabank.cc. I don't know what the metaphor is. I just saw it a minute ago. Yeah, end plutocracy. 1,000 came to occupy Indianapolis. Naptown isn't napping, so that's great to see. Near their esoteric, like, obelisk and stuff. Very esoteric city. Okay, yeah, well, it may have dwindled, but it's a start, man. You know, Indianapolis, Arkansas, all these places are activating. What challenges are we facing? Mainly coordination and that kind of thing. Yes, and also, if you want to send the PayPal info, it's just, hongpong@hongpong.com. That's the email address. There's a button on the site. You might have to hit it twice. I don't know, but it's hongpong@hongpong.com. Vanguard, spit it out. Okay, so the vanguard, what a vanguard tries to do is a vanguard tries to take over a social movement, okay, and they try to direct it to their own goals. So, for example, many people are theorizing that A, MoveOn.org can take over the Occupy Wall Street movement and become its vanguard, and B, that can, you know, sustain the electoral interests of the Democrats. And so what's happened with the Tea Party is an excellent example of vanguardism, where you have people that are agitated, that feel like getting out of the house, they're real Americans or whatever, right? And so they have these concerns, and then professional consultants come in on top of them and say, oh, we have your contact information, we'll give you messages, we'll get you lined up with the media. Yes, hongpong@hongpong.com. That's the address. So, is Adbusters concerned? Are they trying to disrupt the U.S. in order to overtake us? Is Adbusters doing all this? Are they a part of the Canadian conspiracy, the Royalists? Yes, sure. Dan Fight takes no prisoners. Yeah, I will fight them to the end, to use the pun of my name, which is always good. So a vanguard will jump in, try to jump in ahead of a movement and redirect it. So think of people like literally jumping in the front of a march to like try to get you to march a different direction. That's the idea of vanguardism. And so essentially the Alex Jones type guys, Webster Tarpley, whoever, they always sort of feel that any social movement that's out there is going to get infested with vanguards, which are a little bit like provocateurs in a way, and so they're always worried about that type of thing happening. And my computer fell asleep for a second, so I hope it keeps working. Okay, it looks like it's good. So vanguardism is a very strong dynamic. It always happens on the left, quite a bit. Are vanguards paid people? Generally, but not always. And so one thing is that, like, for example, in the so-called like real left, not the foundation financed left, basically the objection is that it seems like socialists will set up a lot of front organizations to kind of absorb the dissent in the country and then rechannel it into, you know, pro like statist oligarchical objectives, right? And so that's essentially the argument of vanguarding, and it always messes up any movements in the UK. Yeah, that's too bad. The UK is a cool place, but yeah, controlled opposition. Yeah, vanguards and controlled opposition. Those are very similar ideas. And so basically, I'm bored of that. I don't like vanguardism. You know, I don't like how foundations sponsor the left. I mean, to be very specific, I think that the Birchers have a point that to put it basically, okay, when the United States created the income tax, right, that was floated to the American people as a way to bring down the oligarchs, right? They're like, look, if we put in an income tax, the oligarchs won't be so rich, and everyone will be more fair. But so what the oligarchs did was like, oh, we'll put in the income tax in the Constitution, or is it in the Constitution? I always forget. Anyway, but yeah, the oligarchs were like, look, we'll put in the income tax, but then we'll put all of our money in tax-exempt foundation tax shelters. And so the same year they set up the income tax, they set up the frickin' Rockefeller Foundation, and then they took over the social sciences. It totally sucked. And that's, I think the critique from guys like Wayne Madsen is that Obama's whole mom's family was part of the foundation finance left, Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, and they were part of this like social science machine, which wanted to take control of the left. The New Republic is an excellent example of an early Vanguard periodical, which was heavily financed by Wall Street to direct the left towards interventionist policies which benefit Wall Street. And hang on, shit. You want to answer this? Yeah, I got it. There you go. Okay, sorry. So I hope that's a good summary, says Seer of Truth. I mean, I feel like the paper trail to this idea is pretty clear. And how do you stop them then, says Nix AFK. Great question. I have an idea. Let's have a huge leaderless occupation movement where everybody has to talk face to face and not be mediated by stupid media things and email campaigns and all that boring stuff, right? That would be a pretty good way to do it. So, so Vanguardism is a huge issue. Sorry, Evolve, I can't click on links right now. So, basically, yeah, Vanguardism is a huge issue, and we can see the dynamic playing out inside every occupation. But I just really personally feel that, that the vanguards, they have a very hard time getting a hold of people when everyone's face to face, okay? And I think that that's important to consider. That you can have people trying to jump in front of you and tell you what you ought to believe and do, and what are ways to prevent vanguards from taking credit? Well, there's lots of ways to put them on the spot. Yeah, celebrities are vanguarders too. They're like the vanguards of culture and the culture industry. So there's an election industry and a culture industry, and it's really fun to turn both of them upside down and use their own lameness against them. It's the jujitsu thing. That's what you got to do. What do I think of the Venezuelan revolution? Well, maybe it's ossified, That's what tends to happen. Are vanguards trolls? They could be trolls, some of them. Trolls could be working for them. How do you think people are able to keep interest without something that's revolving around a charismatic leader? Well, that is the damn thing about politics, and as well as the specialization of power. And I think that's very difficult. How do you avoid becoming a vanguard as a facilitator? Well, I think it's pretty similar to the difference between trying to moderate a discussion as a moderator, such as our champ goddess, and trying to control a discussion. And there's a big difference. You're trying to create an organized space, right? But you're not trying to control the space. That's roughly the balance of it. So, but it's a very tough thing. Yeah, you're doing really well, Goddess, and it's just we're all very limited in our technical things. As much as you can't have infinite time to have a meeting, you also can't have the chat software you want. So you got to work with what you got. Let's not get paranoid about vanguards. Chicago has to fight vanguards. And so that's an issue, right? Let me talk about Minneapolis again for a second. And so essentially in Minneapolis, there was a concern. I had a pretty strong concern. I didn't want to complain about it too much, but I was just a little worried that the people that got in early were going to kind of strong arm things, and we kind of know how they operate. One person said these guys were trained by Wellstone Action, and I think Wellstone Action does a good job. I looked up to Paul Wellstone. He was probably one of my favorite politicians ever. And I was fortunate enough to meet him twice, and that was really great. Because he was super legit at all times. And everybody knew he was legit. A. Murray 50. I think you tried to message me before about doing an interview and writing a paper. You can try emailing me again at hongpong@hongpong.com. You know who blames vanguards? Corporations. Yeah, right. They love saying protesters are shilling for some operative. Yeah, it's totally true. Yeah, they love pointing at vanguards. What do I know about Zapatistas? Well, that's the great thing. Zapatistas, one thing that somebody pointed out to me on the ground there, is that the Zapatistas have a governing council where they all wear masks and they kind of rotate through it. So in that way, people are anonymized, but they can represent themselves truthfully and keep rotating so they don't become a ossified leadership layer. And I think that's a good idea. I hope that whether or not they're facilitators or moderators or whatever, I hope everybody keeps rotating through, because you can bring information to bear in different ways at different times, and I think it's a good idea. Yes, wearing masks in New York is illegal, and it's being enforced. That's true. However, masquerade balls are not illegal. So you could have your masked decision meetings wearing masks while having a masquerade ball at the same time, and I think that would be legal. But that's why you need a legal team. So that's the conservative vanguards, and so I was worried about that, and I spent a while down at Occupy Minneapolis today, and I talked with a bunch of people because I was really worried about like certain people kind of strong-arming everything, but I really felt that there was good pushback, right? Like, whenever a vanguard starts to ossify, everybody gets really pissed off at the General Assembly, and you can tell that they just slide across. Slide the green across. Slide it. Yeah. Okay. So, So basically, the concern about vanguards or too much control, too centralized. People seem to push back on it, and it falls apart again organically. And so I think that that's the catch, which prevents vanguardism from hardening. And leadership from forming too heavily, and it becomes decentralized again. So, yeah, right, tech support for the guy with your phone. Yeah, no, it'll be good. Use cash, not debit cards. Yeah, that's cool. Go Vancouver. I support Vancouver. That's why I love the stimulator. I want to go to Vancouver. That would be great. Is the word out about October 15th? I think it is. I guess October 15th is the global revolution. I hope that wasn't set up by those Soros people and their schemes. I have no evidence of that. I'm not exactly sure who thought October 15th was a great idea, but we'll let it ride and see what happens. What's October 15th? Well, come on down. Vancouver's getting ready. I hope so. Yeah, end the Fed and have a world revolution. Yeah. I was a big fan of this guy, Christopher Story, who is a British financial kind of conspiracy journalist dude who passed away at a fairly advanced age recently, right after he posted that the CIA was trying to kill him. And his worldreports.org is his site. And so his theory was that the revolutionists were part of the Illuminati conspiracy, and so they always want to have a permanent revolution, which I think is a phrase of Trotsky's, and then by destroying religion, the state, and private property, I think, then they could create their oligarchical New World Order. But I don't really think that that's what the October 15th thing is all about. And I think that the people that are kind of doctrinaire communists think it's cool, I guess, because, they believe in human progress, so I think feel like they have some sense of relevancy to this situation. I am definitely very interested to where the sneaky revolution, like Vanguard, Soros stuff is happening, and I'm hoping people can bring that to me, because I'm clearly enjoy satirizing it, because these consultants, you got to realize this is moving way faster than what these people are used to, and they don't like dealing with anybody face to face. So they don't benefit from when things are set up this way. How do I prevent the FBI from tracking my computer? Well, using open source software is a good start. If you get Backtrack Linux, that's Baller Hacker Linux, which I hope itself is not an FBI conspiracy, right? But yeah, Backtrack Linux is a good Linux distribution for learning about how networks work. And so, and so there's there's browser tracker blocker things and stuff. And you should also always recognize that, the FBI, someone pointed out to me the FBI doesn't pay very well, so they don't really have good programmers. And that's probably true. So what they do is they hire out these contractors, like this H.B. Gary stuff, which is why I'm really happy to highlight Barrett Brown's, presentations and stuff, that they do use contractors to spy on people. So Choice Point, DoubleClick, all of that kind of bullshit. They compile massive databases for marketing, but also they rent access to that for law enforcement. And so if you ever get a FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act report from somebody who's been tracked by the FBI, they will ping, or they will look into LexisNexis and ChoicePoint type databases. And so really those are the kinds of tracking that definitely exist. Apart from that, there's the FBI's what's called Digital Collection System, or DCSNet. And that is where all the backdoors are for the routers. I pointed out before that that's probably riddled with security holes because nobody cares, and that way the Chinese get in the back doors and steal all the American trade secrets, and then the FBI will cover it up and throw anyone in jail who tries to blow the whistle. That always seems to be how these things work. So what's going to happen when there's too many HB Garys? Well, they'll probably keep using the same passwords for everything. What is George Soros' involvement in the movement? I feel like I've been trying to address that, man. I don't know. Look, I've been in the middle of this, and I haven't been able to find all this Vanguard stuff everyone's looking for. Look, Cryptome.org is right. Anybody who's pitching you security is probably pitching you bullshit product nonsense, marketing FUD, and the internet is a giant spying machine, and you know, that's just how it is. The internet is a network that was designed by the military, and it's riddled with backdoors. So that's just how it is. That's what the internet is, and anybody who wants to tell you not to look at it that way has the wrong idea. But here's the thing: what you want to do, there's something called OTR messaging, which is called off-the-record messaging, and OTR messaging essentially sets a key, like an encryption key, for your side of the chat and their side of the chat. So you exchange the keys, and then you scramble your chat as you're having the chat, and then in that way, they can tell that you're chatting with that other person, but they can't tell the content of it easily. It is non-trivial to decrypt the content, and so that is so the two good clients for Macintosh is called Adium, ADIUM, as a little bird. And then the I think Linux and OS 10, or sorry, Linux and Windows, I think Windows is Pidgin, PIDGIN. So Pidgin is actually a very good open source software. So basically, yeah, OTR messaging is a great way to at least encrypt your stuff. So there are what are called darknets, which are new kinds of internet protocol systems, kind of. They're sort of like IP layers, kind of. So like Tor or other systems, you can kind of represent yourself as a node in a scrambled network. And I think that those systems do have, yes, always do use open source software for encrypting your files. That is a great point. Yeah, so darknet stuff. Yeah, adium.im. I think that's correct. That sounds right. Yeah, so let's see. Where the hell was I? I don't even know. I'm all over the place. But yeah, so encrypted chat is good. Okay, listen. Yeah, let's talk about false flags. Yeah, you guys want to hear some false flag stuff? I bet you do. Okay, so have a spotted. We drank all our spotted cows. I'm sorry, Rotunda Radio. We don't have any more Wisconsin beer runs lately. So here's the false flag. All right, somebody's like wondering if they're going to attack the Fed. Okay, I don't think that the attack on the New York Stock Exchange thing was actually a false flag, kind of as a gut feeling. I think it was actually just stupid people that are peripherally involved in Anonymous. But much as with the fake Operation Facebook, the material that was put out created the premise for the corporate media to say, oh my God, there's going to be a friggin' attack on the New York Stock Exchange. And so that did not look good. I mean, that did not look good to me, right? And now I've reached the point that I don't think that was a government plant, probably. But it was still a dumb idea, which people shilling for the paranoia system that is related to false flags still found useful. So you don't want to give those people raw material, right? You don't want to give them more FUD, right? Everybody was saying, will Anonymous be able to attack the New York Stock Exchange? Again, these are people trafficking in fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or FUD, right? Which is what Microsoft has thrown at Linux all those years. And so, yeah, And right, oh yeah, that was another one. Nick's AFK pointed out that call involved the LOIC, or Low Orbit Ion Cannon, the really poorly named Command and Conquer reference for DDoSing. And again, that tool does not anonymize an attack, so it will get you arrested, or get whoever IP'd this arrested. And so what we suspected was that this was somebody trying to tee up like a false flag to say, look, they're trying to attack the critical infrastructure of America, and that would then justify the FBI tracing everybody and stuff. And so that was being hyped up, and it was scary. And they wanted they want to try to be able to discredit the whole thing. Okay, they are reaching strategically to trying to find ways to discredit this movement. And so if there's some BS attack attributed to Anonymous, because they're trying to use Anonymous against us as happy paroxysm, and that's it. Anybody could be anonymous, so they could set up a false flag, or just a dipshit flag using a cadre of Anonymous, right? And then you can blame that and be like, oh, this is hacker stuff trying to screw up America. And so that's the strategy, which appears to be in the works. We can get to the FEMA camp element later. I can tell you about that if I really want to get it. But anyway, so whenever they want to do a false flag, right? I think the idea of pre-scripting, which you may have heard, is kind of it's like they got to sort of set the ground for a false flag. So we know that everybody kind of knows that that's what they do. So we got to start. We watch for those. We watch for the pre-scripting of false flags, and so it seemed like the New York Stock Exchange attack was a pre-scripting. It seemed like they were trying to set it up. And so, yeah, false flag foreplay. I like that one, Love 101. There you go. Exactly. So, and so they wanted to do that because then the thing about this so-called fake cyber war, that all those contractors are cashing mad cash on this fake cyber war bullshit, okay? And so they need the fear. And unfortunately, they exploited the lulls of the lulls fleet earlier, to get more cyber war cash, right? And so basically that's the angle that's coming at. Yeah, a false flag is where an attack or some disruption occurs, and it's caused by party A, and it's blamed on party B to party A's benefit. So that's what a false flag is, or a generic simple false flag. You have more complicated ones with patsies and multiple factions and weird A story, B story, kind of like the dominant JFK narratives that greasy people like Gerald Posner write about. An issue at the museum being broke. I don't know what happened at the museum in DC, but I think drones are really creepy. They're a sign that we are entering a hellish dystopian era of killer machines that will kill as many people as possible, including American citizens without a trial. So I think drones are really scary. And anything that valorizes the drone situation is pretty scary. And I think that cutting drone funding is a great idea. And I do not like that they're adding drones on the northern border of Minnesota to guard against the Canadian whatever. It's pretty sick. Also, I'm a fan of the No Agenda podcast and the theory of Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. One of them was like that they're trying to overhaul the FAA's aviation system in order so they could fill up the sky with drones, because humans can't pilot all the drones around in the air. So, drones do have a virus in the software. You could get a false flag from that, right? Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. And there's backdoors in the FAA's aviation system. I always love the fake blips, real world or exercise angle. So that I think it's hilarious. But anyway, yeah. So drones are shady and false flags are shady. I'm going all over the place. But the point is, I was really worried about the anonymous New York Stock Exchange thing. But I think the word got out. I think the word's been out there that like Anonymous understands that offensive electronic tactics are politically not particularly a smart move politically right now. And regardless of whether or not they can hit a button and freak things out, I think they recognize that isn't a good style, And that's the thing, Yeah, I am all over. Anonymous, lulsec, aside from a false flag discredit, they might plan another false flag to draw attention away. Well, that's possible, but we just have to hope that the OPSEC, or the operational security of the cells planning the false flags, is ruined by decent people and good Americans that don't like seeing false flags. But look at it, dude. Like, they've had a very hard time pulling any sophisticated false flags in the last decade, because I give the credit to truthers for getting the word out that this is like how the system has worked for decades, and and I think that that's messed up their ability to stage false flags in the first place. So that's important. And well, all those guys in New York who are probably watching this, I mean, all the cool cats in the camp, they have no idea that we've had to deal with this stuff on the internet this whole time. They're like, well, they're having a good time. I'm over here on the internet dealing with all these crazy rumors and stuff and trying to keep an eye on this kind of thing, because I don't want that to happen. I don't want vanguards or false flags. Neither one of them are fun to deal with, but they're obviously, like, potentially in the mix. Okay. What about martial law starting on the 15th? Canada is here with us too. Yeah, Canadians are really fans of the stream. That's like our second most, our second most popular viewers are Canadian. It's like, I don't know, 15% of the stream or so. Yay, Canada. Hey, Canada is on strike, right? Canada is almost on strike. Vanguards or false flags are irrelevant. The occupation would continue. I like that line of reasoning. Even if something horrible does happen, just Monty, occupy that. Yeah, even if something horrible does happen, just stay cool, right? Keep riding it out. That kind of thing has always seemed to happen in the past. I saw a really awesome video where they pointed out that, like, whenever people were throwing huge protests against poverty in the UK, they would always throw Live Aid concerts and have Bob Geldof jump in there. That's a good example of cultural vanguardism by Live Aid in general is, right? And so, yeah, that was a great example of cultural vanguardism, or kind of almost false flagism. Okay, yeah, great question. Al Camus, or Camus. How are Soros and socialists trying to co-opt the system any different than Ron Paul supporters or Wobblies or conservatives or anyone else trying to do it? That's a great question. You see, if we could get the opposing generic powerful forces to both try to co-opt at the same time, they collide into each other like Daleks. That's a great thing. Kind of like how the healthcare and insurance industry and the military-industrial complex are opposed to each other in the evil, fake, like, Super Congress committee. They have opposing interests, so they're crashing into each other, and that's great. So, yeah, I totally support shady influence groups colliding with each other and wasting their attempts to vanguard at each other. That's what you want to get those people getting at each other, so we can be real out here and not get screwed. I think that's important. This dynamic is definitely going on. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, let me get to the martial law thing. Alright, so I'll just lay this out, guys. I mean, basically, we heard a rumor, right, from some sectors, okay, that, like, essentially, the FBI, and this is the first time I'm telling you guys all this widely, so this is news. Okay, so, yeah, basically, what we heard was that around the weekend of the 15th, they would try to create several days of mayhem, and yeah, this is news. This is actually new. I have not spread this around. But I haven't heard anything new about it in the last few days, so I'll go with it. And I don't know how to trust it. I don't know the source. But it's possible. And it also seemed like a likely-ish scenario. It seemed like the way they usually think. So I wasn't surprised. But what are my... I'm not going to say my sources. That would not be good. And because I don't know my sources. So I can't confirm it. I cannot confirm information at this level. But I want to put it out there for you guys. I was thinking about telling this to Alex Jones, but I'll tell you first, okay? Basically, the idea would be that the feds would call out all their provocateurs and various hoodlums and whatnot, and they would try to create chaos around the 15th, and then they would try to mass arrest as many people as possible and hold them for an extended period of time, so that they would try to create mayhem, to discredit the movement, and then mass arrest as many people as possible in a bunch of different cities, the major cities, okay, on the coasts, a little bit in the heartland, mostly the coasts, and so that they would create the mayhem and then mass arrest everybody and try to discredit everything. And that is essentially what I heard. And there were other, possible angles as to detention facility stuff. I don't know if the feds would eat Hot Pockets. Is that a no agenda joke? Yeah, it does sound like what they did at the Republican National Convention. Dude, you guys got to understand. We are all veterans of the 2008 Republican National Convention. We understand exactly how martial law works in America. It came to our streets, so we're not happy about it. But this is important to realize, guys, is that whenever you see the RNC or the G20 Pittsburgh, where again, we were part of the independent media team working on it, so we had a real uptight grip on that. You guys just saw the G20 documentary that we helped contribute to playing a minute ago. And so we know about this plan, but a very wise friend of ours pointed out that when they want to do the police state, they got to bring the riot cops in from all over the country, from like Louisville and frickin' Miami, and you know. So whenever they do the huge joint operations, they aren't just depending on the local cops. They've got all the other special riot squads that have been built up for counterterrorism. They have to put them in the one city, right? And that's a huge logistical undertaking. They are not actually logistically capable of putting the martial law that we think of in our imagination, right, in effect everywhere. And I think that's an important way to keep it in perspective about how likely a police state is. They can squeeze in one place, but we have all these occupations going. So if they squeeze in one place, people can react in another place. Like wherever you squeeze the network, people will react elsewhere. And not everywhere are the police supporting this at all. So you know, and I thought also another point which was made was that it was a little scary that, like, look at what happened on the Brooklyn Bridge. There was a mass arrest there. I was helping video produce while that was going on, and it was very clear that the police did let everybody up in the bridge. Oh, we might want to put up the Sacramento feed. It's looking bad. Shit. Okay, Occupy Sacto. All right. I'll try to wrap this up. Yeah, dude, maybe the conspiracy theorists are the vanguard. They try to vanguard conspiracy theories because they want to stay relevant, so they'll always kind of be like, we know exactly what's going on, when they may only loosely know what's going on. So, yeah, journalists always try to vanguard things, like, intentionally. All journalists do, though. I worked as a journalist. I know how that goes. Okay, Sacramento. Yeah, we better have to check out Sacramento in a minute. So I don't know what's going on in Sacramento's had a really hard time, though. It's too bad. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted Sacramento's going down. Well, I hope the feed's not going down. Okay, 500 arrested in Sacramento. This is bad news. Well, guys, let's try to consolidate what we can about Sacramento and share those links. And I've obviously veered way off of tech, which is too bad. And I've been chatting. So we're gonna have to try to get through this anyway. But I thought these things were important. I did want to throw out the false flag thing. So if I disappear, just assume they're going to try to stir up crap on the 15th and do huge mass arrests. Take that assumption. If something happens to me, then yeah, that you could assume maybe that's right. But that was just something I heard from some folks, and so I don't know. Okay, right. But an alternative journalist named Wayne Madsen. An alternative journalist named Wayne Madsen, who I've corresponded a tiny bit with before, and I think that sometimes he gets out on a limb, but a lot of times he gets a lot of early information right. Like, he was the first person to name the NSA program Pinwhale, which reads all the subject headers on all your emails, and he put up the name Pinwhale before anybody else, so I give him credit for a lot of weird stuff like that. And he said that a weird document is circulating in the halls of the upper level of intelligence in U.S. Congress, and that would involve huge detention facilities in Western military bases and that kind of thing. So, so he was suggesting that a sort of mass detention scenario is happening, and he theorized that the Brooklyn Bridge mass arrest was a test run of that type of mass arrest strategy. And so I thought that was interesting, actually, that the mass arrest strategy was, maybe being tested on the Brooklyn Bridge, right, for this later October 15th super federal roundup scenario. So I don't want people to, like, run out of the room in extreme fear that you're all going to get mass arrested, because that would be a psyop, and you would be falling right into it, a psychological operation. And so don't fall into the fear of being, like, hugely mass arrested and sent to a prison camp set up in a military base in Nevada. However, it could happen, you know, so keep an eye out for it. And if you do know anybody in the National Guard, in the FBI, in the NYPD, try to explain to them what this movement's all about, and then find out what the secret plan is, and then tell us on the internet, and then the plan will not have any more OPSEC, and it will fall apart. And that'll be hilarious. So we're going to keep wrecking we're planning to keep wrecking the vanguards, the false flags, and the martial law. It's a trifecta of awesome. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
It sounds freaking awesome. So, no problemo. Haha. It's great. No, because this whole thing is so awesome that the information that's shady, like, leaks out of the government. They can't keep it secret. It's great. Everyone could be a mole because this whole thing is too persuasive that they can't keep it bottled up, which is, they have to keep it bottled up. So, it's cool. Oh, God, Sacramento's getting arrested. Jesus, okay, we are going to have to try to deal with Sacramento. Oh my God.
Are they still getting fucked with?
Yeah, dude, Occupy Sacto. Okay, livestream.com/Occupy Sacto. I guess, God, we're going to have to go for it. Jesus. So I'm going to go for it. But look, again, I'm just asking you guys that if you... Get out. Okay, so I'm just saying, you guys, look, if you appreciate the work that we have done in the Minneapolis production team, who are now going to chill out and have a few more beers and relax for a while going to Sacramento, please go to my website, hongpong.com, and if you can give us money on the PayPal so that we can clear out these old bills and that kind of thing, and the rent and so forth, without counting on the Global Revolution main fund, I think you can understand why that situation is occurring, and you understand who the money is going to, and you can see that we're working really, really hard on it, while I'm also dealing with all this horrible info war, like attempted anonymous false flag trial balloon, New York Stock Exchange type stuff. But we're on top of it because we've seen all their tricks, man. Like, we know how they roll. We're bored of it. We're bored of their false flags. We could shoot them down on IRC 6 days before they even happen. Oh. Okay, so basically, oh my God, now I'm raving about political nonsense. But look, Sacramento. Can you pull up Sacramento and tell me whether it's... Okay, I want to see Occupy Sacto and see if it's actually visible.
Occupy San Diego or
Sacto. Occupy SACTO.
Alright, hang on.
Okay, we're on it. Okay, so, Jesus. Well, look, guys, look, here's what you need. You need basic, it helps have like an Intel Core 2 Duo, like 2.3 gigahertz or so, 2.4 gigahertz type strength machine, a 3G or 4G wireless card. Run the Livestream Procaster application if you want, if you can. Sacto. Occupy SACTO. Occupy SACTO. Livestream. 14 expected to be arrested. Okay. Name of the cam again, the one with FireWire. We use, this camera is a Canon HV20. HV2020 or the 30 or the 40. Although that whole Canon series is really sturdy and hasn't let us down in many adventures. So you basically, you mix together either a good webcam or a camera like that, a laptop, a data card. You try to have somebody in a remote location as your editor. Hopefully the police do not keep your video camera, but a lot of times they'll smash it or steal the tapes. And that's why we want to go live, because we're tired of having our tapes stolen all the time. So we'd rather put it up on the internet instantly and not have to worry about it. Alright, well, good night, Cry Wolf. I'll get out of here in a minute. We're at like an hour. And so, yeah. So basically, you get these cameras rolling, and if you only have phones available, you know, you can install apps for Ustream and stuff like that. And, okay, Evolve actually posted a bunch of short links, which are probably good. They seem like a cool person. And so, so you just rig those all up together. You let us know, like, what your live stream account is at outreach at globalrevolution.tv. And you just rig them all up, and you put it all together, and we just patch it through, and it works pretty well. It works pretty well. As you can see, by having immediate video, you can basically fire up people's imaginations in a way that you never would have thought. because people can recognize
They're militarized. Get off.
Yeah, we're before everything gets militarized in this apartment. I'm getting off the internet now. So essentially, that's what you got to do. Any questions? I hope not. All right, guys. I'll give you like 30 seconds, and then I'm out of here, and we're gonna get to Sacramento. Yeah. We're going to Sacramento. Yes, the Android apps work in Canada. I think Canada can still support Android. That'd be cool if it couldn't. That'd be awesome. I'd be like, Android now in Canada. Great. All right, guys. Good night, everybody. And I will be with you later. Again, if you want to make a contribution to our team in Minneapolis, it's hongpong@hongpong.com and or through my website hongpong.com. That is the way to help us basically cover our back bills and our expenses, and I guarantee you it will have good results. So thank you guys, and have a great evening, and I will be seeing you later. But where? Stay tuned.